Anybody have anything they want to say before we get started?
Yeah.
Marion? Annie?
Yes, okay, let's see. For
Annie,
me,
microphone?
I just found a scripture which for me ties into some of the things we are learning this morning. And it's from James chapter 1 verse 19. James 1:19. And it says, so then, my beloved brethren. So James is speaking from a place of love, because it says my beloved. And even me at home when I speak to my husband, I say my beloved. So it's really everywhere, like my beloved. And then brethren, like you're my brother, you're my sister. Yeah? So then, my beloved brethren, let everyone be swift to hear. In other versions, it says, be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to run. So it's from a place of love and brotherhood. Like in this space, I want someone, even today someone has come to me and corrected me on something small, and I want to receive it with grace, just because it's from a place of love and brotherhood or sisterhood. So that it's let everyone, like without exception, every man be swift to hear, quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to run. For the wrath of man does not produce the righteousness of God. So I'm even telling myself, Mario, be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. So for me, yesterday someone was saying, can you have scripture for these things? So the Holy Spirit, James 1:19.
That's good. So Elijah, you asked where in the Bible? That's the one on listening. Good. Thank you, Mary. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so on page, I think it's page 69 of your books, your workbooks, we're up to How to Grow as a Leader, Part 2. And in this part, we're going to talk about some changes that we have to make if we want to grow. And over on, we flip back to a page, I think it's 67. There's something about change. It says change. This allows me to keep growing. Can y'all see that? And it's on the bottom of my page. I'm not sure where it is on there, but it says it's right under John's system for leadership. So it says something in human nature tempts us to stay where we're comfortable. We try to find a plateau, a resting place, where we have comfortable stress and adequate finances, where we have comfortable associations with people without the intimidation of meeting new people and entering strange situations. Isn't that true? And I think it's okay to, like, if you go on fast and furious, I think even Jesus took time away, for refreshment, and I think that's okay. But sometimes we get so comfortable, we don't want to move out of, there's a great analogy about eagles, that when an eaglet is going to be born, the father and mother eagle go and gather all these feathers. Well, they go to these sticks, they make a nest, and they gather materials for the nest. And then they do these feathers on that and make it all almost like down. It's very comfortable. And then the eagle when the time comes for them the eaglet to learn how to fly, the mama eagle will take the eaglet out of the nest and will fly with it. They don't make it fly then, but they fly with it. They show, the motion, etc., and take it back to the nest. And then they want the eaglet to get out of the nest, the comfort zone, okay, and be independent, be on their own. And sometimes the eaglets don't want to do that. It's too comfortable. They want to stay right where they are. So the mom will actually take the eaglet out and sometimes drop it, but then won't let it die, of course, under the ground to try to help force it to do that. If the eaglet still won't do that, you know what she does? She starts pulling out the downs so that it's a little rougher. It's not as comfortable in that nest. And then she pulls it out until there's like nothing comfortable about that. And that forces the eaglet to go out and to be independent. And then guess what happens when the eaglet gets old enough? It repeats what its mama did. So that's the same with us, isn't it? Sometimes we get comfortable, and so you may feel a little uncomfortable now that we've been going through this training. That's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. And if you apply what we're sharing on how to grow, you're going to be flying on your own like eagles. Okay? So it's on my next page. There's a quote there by Ron Osborne. I don't know if it's on that same page we just read from, but it says, unless you try to do something beyond what you've already mastered, you will never grow. That is so true. And Gail Sheedy said, if we don't change, we don't grow. If we don't grow, we are not really living. Growth means a temporary surrender of security. It may mean a giving up of familiar but limiting patterns, safe but rewarding work, values no longer believed in, relationships that have lost their meaning. But as, I don't know how to pronounce that, I can't pronounce that. Put it, taking a new step, uttering a new word is what people fear most. The real fear should be the opposite force. The real fear should be basically staying where we are and not moving on. So, let's go to page 69, and I want to give you 3 quick thoughts about personal growth and our own development. Okay? So, a couple of comments. First of all, we've got to start with yourself. Start with yourself. Again, when we are learning to be a leader, we start with ourselves, we lead ourselves, and then we start to train others and teach and train them to lead themselves. But it all starts with us. There in your book it says, the following words were written on the tomb of an Anglican bishop in the crypts of Westminster Abbey. This is so powerful. Listen. Are you listening? Yeah. Okay. When he says that when I was young and free and my imagination had no limits, I dreamed of changing the world. As I grew older and wiser, I discovered the world would not change. So I shortened my sights somewhat and decided to change only my country. But it too seemed immovable. As I grew into my twilight years, in one last desperate attempt, I settled for changing only my family. So it went from the world to the country, to the family, they would have none of it. And now, it sounded like he wasn't much of an influencer, was he? But as I lie on my deathbed, I suddenly realize if I had only changed myself first, then by example, I would have changed my family. From their inspiration and encouragement, I would have then been able to better my country, and who knows, I may have changed my world. It all begins with us. It begins with ourselves. Number 2, failure to change at the right moment will provide the wrong result. Failure to change at the right moment will provide the wrong result. You know, so many times we change at the right moment, and then things will come out as they should. I think today is the right moment for you guys. God has put you here for a reason. It's not just about leadership, it's about everything else, but it all revolves around your influence and your leadership, your ministries and your purpose. Okay? Business, church, whatever it is. So failure to change at the right moment now will provide the wrong result. And then number 3, growth guarantees an exciting tomorrow. Growth guarantees an exciting tomorrow. This is the third comment about change. And personal growth really does ensure our potential and for our future, no matter what your age is, no matter how old you are or how young you are. The younger you are, the bigger the advantage you have. But you know, many people, and you may see this, many people are comfortable where they are. And they don't want to change. And they're dying, they're dead while they're living. Because they're not growing. They're dead, but they're living. You know, their lives are dead. So, we talked about, you was asked about climate. Climate, this allows me to enjoy growing. Okay? So, how to develop a healthy climate for growth. Eunice, this should help. This should help all of us. Okay? Let me make sure there was nothing that you're going to see on the test. So this is the first thing on this part that you're going to see again. So make sure you highlight it. Wink, wink. Okay. So how to develop a healthy climate for growth. First of all, create a growth environment. Create a growth environment. You know that fish will only grow to the tank, the aquarium that they're in. And the same is true for plants. You put a plant in a small pot, it's never going to grow bigger than that pot. That's why you have to repot plants. You know, and they grow bigger and bigger. You put them in the ground, even bigger and bigger, you know. So we have to create a growth environment in order for ourselves and others to grow. So there in your book, this is the definition of a growth environment. Okay? So as I read these, go through and just assess where you are, what kind of environment you're in. If you're in a growth environment at your church, or in your business, your organization, just assess where where you are. A growth environment is a place where, number one, others are ahead of you, okay? People are more advanced in their leadership than you. You are still challenged. You're still challenged. Your focus is forward, meaning you're moving forward. Number four, the atmosphere is affirming, okay? You're encouraged. The atmosphere is affirming. 5, you are out of your comfort zone. Remember, it's okay to be out of your comfort zone. Number 6, you wake up excited. 7, you don't fear failure. 8, others are growing. 9, there is a willingness to change. Everybody wants to change. And 10, growth is modeled and expected. Growth is modeled and expected. That's the growth model that I'm talking about in the environment or the climate, Eunice, that you were asking about. That's what we're talking about. And if you're a leader and you're not providing that, it's your responsibility to provide that climate, that atmosphere for growth. Okay? And if you're not like the boss, the pastor, then position-wise, then you need to grow your influence and get whoever that is to provide this environment. Because if your influence is good with the person, ahead, then you can get those changes made. If not, then just start your own group. Don't go against the pastor or your boss. I'm not saying that. Okay, love them and help them and serve them and that kind of thing. But I'm saying if they won't go there yet, because maybe they just don't know to grow, then get your own little group together that you can influence and y'all can go together. Okay? Any questions on that? So again, just evaluate your own work environment. Yes, ma'am. How do you work in an environment that's not conducive? Well, it's all those things that we've been learning. You've got to have the right attitude. You don't let it stop you. Okay? Again, try to influence the change around. It's that same bloom where you're planted. But the key is to be where God wants you to be. So if He wants you there, maybe He wants you there to help make the change for the environment. Does that help? Yeah. Okay. So how else can we develop a healthy environment of growth? 2 is to develop relationships with growing people. Develop relationships with growing people. We talked a little bit about this, but make it fun. Make it fun. Irene was telling me that she and Marion, that they've kind of been bouncing off of each other. They work together in another business, right? And so they've been bouncing this off, and that they enjoy one another's company, and so they're going to grow together, and so make it fun, and just get somebody else around you to help make it fun and help you grow. John Maxwell said there in your book, it's not always comfortable, but it's always profitable to associate with people larger than ourselves. Okay? So that's why mentorship is so important. Okay. And then there in your book, Emerson and Thoreau's questions to each other, they were great philosophers, when they met was, and what has become clearer to you since the last we met? So again, growing together provides increased insight, shared joy, accountability, friendship, shared vision, and worthwhile conversation. That is so true. Number 3, another way that we develop a healthy climate, environment for growth is that we understand that growth is a process, not an event. Growth is a process, not an event. Let me talk about this a minute. So you guys are here at Spirit of Faith, and you, how many weeks is it that you come to class?
7.
How many?
7. It's a
7 weeks?
This is the 7.
And this is week 7. How many weeks altogether?
18.
18 weeks altogether. So you guys are coming every week. You're learning, you're growing, you're developing, and then at the end of the weeks, 18 weeks, 18 weeks, you're going to have a graduation ceremony, right? You're going to wear cap and gowns. I've been there. I've been to one. I love it. It's exciting. You got all your family and friends and people here to see you graduate and receive your diploma. So it's not about the graduation, okay, the ceremony. It's about the process. It's the process that you had to go through to get there. Yes, is it rewarding on graduation day? Absolutely. But the reason you're there is because you've gone through each